What's happening, guys? This is the Savour f&b podcast. We're rebranding a little bit. My first few episodes, I was kind of just figuring out where I wanted to go with this. And now that I'm in my new space, I kind of want to see where else I can talk to other than chefs and stuff. I'm super interested in business and other things outside of the restaurant industry. And I really like talking to people. So we're going to focus on getting some business people in here and learning some things as we go. My business is obviously catering, so that is going to be the focus of a lot of these episodes. And today we're going to get into just some FAQs. I think there's a ton of questions when it comes to catering. A lot of people haven't done it before. The first times they're doing it's either a wedding or a big thing. So we're just going to fire off some questions, and I'm going to go through it with you, and we'll see if we can get some of those questions answered. So first question is what is catering? What types of catering are there? There's two main things. There's two main types of catering. We can go through lots of nuances of little stuff, but the main two types of catering are going to be offsite catering and on-site catering. So on-site catering is going to be your hotels, your wedding venues, pretty much anywhere where your staff and culinary crew and all of them can prepare and do the event all in one place. Hotels, all those are going to be considered on-premise catering. What we do and what we specialize is, and we're specifically off-premise catering. So we have a kitchen facility. We come to houses. We go to venues that allow outside vendors. We go pretty much anywhere where we can set up and serve people. I was going to say that we can go pretty much anywhere where there's electricity and water, but now 5 years into the business, we've pretty much figured out how to be pretty much standalone. It's always nice to have those things, and it makes it a lot easier for us. But should you be on a beach somewhere or on somebody's property, we can make sure to figure that out. So today we're going to mainly focus on like house catering. We're not at a venue, we're not at a big hotel. A lot of people want to throw events in their homes. So I just want to get some of the questions out that we get asked a lot and get those answered, because a lot of people are a little wary of people coming to their house. They've never had a catering in their house. They don't know what to expect. They don't know if we clean. They don't know what we do there, if we're cooking everything. So there's a lot of things that go into throwing your party. And I just want to get a few of those out. So types of events that we can cater for, pretty much anything. We've done quite a bit on the home front. Being down here in Southwest Florida, there's a lot of nice properties around. Some people have nice homes on the water. Some people have nice properties central state. And as long as there's enough room for your guests, I guess, to not be crammed up, we can do pretty much any style event in your home. During season, a lot down here, we get snowbirds coming down. We get a lot of cocktail parties, anniversaries, birthdays. And, you're going to see more of that in people's houses. But there are those special occasions like weddings or like day after wedding brunches, engagement dinners. There really isn't a wrong answer to what you can do in your own home or you can do in an Airbnb, let's say. We can make it work. But I will say that you're going to want to know, you're going to want to have some idea of your guest count, and you don't want to over invite in the house and make it uncomfortable, especially down here in Florida. It's going to be hot outside, and you don't want to force half your guests away from the other half of your guests. So how do I choose a catering service is another question we got. So as far as we go, we encourage you to go get quotes from whoever you can around. When you are looking for a caterer, you want to have somebody insured, obviously. You want to have somebody that's hopefully been in the business for a while. Businesses with websites, businesses that have Google listings, those are all going to be people that take the job seriously. They're not doing it in their side part-time. They're trying to build businesses. Those people are going to take all the events in a little bit more of a professional manner. At least from my experience. And look at reviews. This is a super peer reviewed business, just like almost anything now in 2024. There's If you're not looking at reviews before you go into a place, I mean, it doesn't have to have a 5-star review. You should just see what people are saying. You just do your due diligence, and there's tons of questions to ask, and never be afraid to ask them for credentials or anything like that. You want to go with somebody that has a proven track record, that you can trust, and they're not sending you a proposal in a Word document or something, and they want some deposit, and there's no like guarantee, and there's no contract, and those kind of people. Not saying anything like negative, because everybody has to start somewhere, but you need to have some sort of trust there, especially if you haven't hired them before. There needs to be something there that can tie them to somewhere, because if you're sending off a check somewhere to get, for an event 6 months from now, and you're just trusting that they're going to be there 6 months, and you don't know them from anybody, they have no website and no Google, it's going to be hard to track them down should something bad happen. So when you're choosing a caterer, choose somebody that has somewhat of a reputation. Choose somebody that has some Google reviews. Choose somebody that maybe is even on like Facebook and Instagram. There's tons of ways now to vet all the people you hire from any service industry. You want to protect yourself. I'm not saying don't throw business to the little guy. There's plenty of people out there that are starting out, and even when I start out, we didn't have a website, and we didn't have these things, but quickly as I got this stuff, I realized how important it was. So just vet your vendors, and try to get somebody. If there's people commenting on Facebook or Instagram, throw a comment up, see if the profile's active. Because the last thing you want to be done is in like a sticky situation when you're trying to have a special event, and you start the special event with getting burned by somebody that you don't know. So always vet your vendors. What services do caterers typically offer? So I can't speak to other caterers. For us, we try to be as full service as possible. So we offer not only just the food, but we offer staffing. We have our full liquor license, so we offer bartending services and liquor services, and we're totally licensed, insured for all that. And we offer rentals. In house, we keep a lot of the small stuff: plates, flatware, glassware. If you want something other than that, we'll rent it out to you, and we just use a third party. And we're happy to tell people the third party that we use. If they want to go straight through them and save a little bit, it's a little bit less headache for us, and then they can deal directly with them, and there's no middleman. But we are happy to facilitate those things, and you can. How far in advance, or sorry, can I customize the menu? So this is the beauty about catering, right? So not saying that some caterers don't have set menus. For weddings, we have some set packages, but if you want to customize it, you absolutely can. But the beauty about hiring a caterer is that if you want to have a themed party, or you have something in mind, or you're having a bridal shower and the bride's favorite food is blank, the beauty with the caterer is that they should be able to facilitate just about any menu. There's always going to be limits, in ethnic foods, or maybe some chefs don't have the background to pull some things off. But in general, if you have certain amount or a certain thing you have in mind, just share that with your caterer up front. And the more information you can give them up front, the easier it is for them to go through the proposal process and to get you stuff that you want. So you can absolutely customize the menus. If you want to make it easy, how we typically start the proposal process is you inquire to us, you give us some basic information, and from there we'll build a preliminary proposal based on the information you gave us. And this isn't a set in stone thing. We like to do it this way because it gets you something to where ballpark what it's going to cost, what's involved, how many people you need to have staffing it, whether you want to go the full dinner route, or a brunch, or just heavy hors d'oeuvres. There's tons and tons of options out there. So you just have to get with a company that will work with you, but absolutely customize menus in general. Like, so for instance, our program, we have over the last 5 years, we've accumulated over 900 menu items. Obviously there's a ton of similar ones. Obviously there's a ton of, things that we do on a regular basis. And I would say on a regular basis, we probably do, 100 items or less in there. But over the years, we've accumulated these items. And if we can't do it, we'll try our best to get something as similar as possible for you. But we're never going to put ourselves in a situation to do something for you that might, you know, just turn out bad. We don't offer that. So if we don't know how to do it, or we don't, I guess, or we're not comfortable doing something for you, then we're not going to sell it to you. Just plain and simple. We want to keep quality high. And I guess, and then the other caveat to that is it depends on the event you have, right? So, for hors d'oeuvre party, there's, if they're passed around and there's tons of little tiny little items on there, those little items maybe are not going to be good for a placed hors d'oeuvre, right? So we have these little like mini quesadillas, or like these little mini watermelon goat cheese bites. They're like one bite. I wouldn't want to put a seat, like for 100 people, I wouldn't want to put that on a buffet, because people are going to take 10 of them, and there's no way for us to control that, how many they're going to take, and we're not exactly building them on site. So working with a caterer that's willing to educate you a little bit on that, and what's catering friendly, what's not catering friendly. We stay away as best as we can from a lot of fried stuff, just because it doesn't hold well, or on site we don't want to bring fryers and stink up the place or anything like that. So there are situations where we're not afraid to say no, and that's only just so we can keep the quality. So customize away, or at least give us something to work with, because it makes it easy for us too. Next question: how far in advance should I book a caterer? You should book the caterer as soon as you know the date and how many people roughly are going to be there. For us, we do a ton of weddings, and in Florida, our wedding season's opposite of anywhere up north. So where wedding season begins in June in a lot of the northern states, we end in June. So our first super busy month with weddings is November. So October they start trickling in. We're getting a little bit, but come November is the time where it starts really vamping up. And there are catering companies out there that just take as many events that'll come to them, but we have limits. So we'll never take on 2 or 3 events in a day. Or if it's a really big one, we'll just do one. And that's just so I can have all my chefs and all my staff focus to keep the quality at a premium. We never want to drop that. So I want to keep it manageable, keep everybody happy, and the way we do that is we just limit ourselves on parties. So as far as booking out, how far in advance? We have weddings book us out almost 2 years sometimes. Once you're under the year mark, dates start filling up. Under 6 months, you're either last spot. But if you're trying to plan like a wedding 3 months out, it could be very tough, unless you're open to another day other than Saturday. In my catering world, Saturdays book first, then Sundays, then Fridays. And that's just, as far as weddings go. And I think that's just because people want the weekend. Sundays, they don't want to go party and book a Sunday wedding, and everybody has to go back to work on Monday. So I totally get it. Saturdays by far are the busiest wedding day down here, and I'm sure all over. So as soon as you have a date and you're comfortable with the person, and they book that far, we'll take a deposit as far out in advance as you like, and we'll work with you. I don't have that question up here, but as far as like what happens to the deposit along the way. So once you get that preliminary proposal and we have kind of a number, our deposit policy is 10 or 50%. So some people's is 10, some people let you pay along the way. Ours is 50. It secures the date. Nobody can book over you, et cetera, et cetera. So through that process, though, once you're booked, you're locked in for the date, but you're not necessarily locked in on your proposal with us. So with us, you have up to 2 weeks out from your event to make any changes on rentals, changes on food items, how many people, just because I know things happen, and 2 weeks out still gives us a little bit of time to, call and adjust rentals, make sure we don't order things if your numbers go down, make sure we order enough if your orders go up, make sure our staff is prepared, because if you go up quite a bit, we're going to either have to add staff on. If you come down, it's unfortunate, but we would have to take a staff member or two off, depending on the situation. So get those deposits in, get that set up, and then just check in along the way. I know we're good about sending follow-up stuffs up until your event, but don't be afraid to just call. If you misplace the proposal or anything like that, call your caterer, say, hey, I just need to see where we're at. I know we're 6 months out. I just want to make sure that we have everything taken care of. For the most part, we try to do that for you guys, but we're at the liberty of your decision. So once we have something set up, we don't touch it until you tell us to. So, and then to answer about the deposit is, if you have a set amount and you make that deposit and you make any changes that result in the balance going up or down, we just adjust it and send it to you. It's not a big deal. Just adjust it and pay it at the end. So, what's the average cost of catering? So, loaded question. Really, it boils down to what you want and what value you see in the service. Knowing your budget up front helps us book and get you an accurate proposal that's not going to blow you out of the water. And as I mentioned before, there's a lot of people that have never done this, so they just don't know how much it costs. If they don't know how much it costs and they get hit with a number that's astronomical, that they've never fed 100 people before, it creates like friction in the sales process. So knowing somewhat of a number up front helps. If you haven't done this, go out and get several proposals. We encourage it. There's enough business out there for everybody. We want to do the best we can and work with people that want to work with us. And a lot of people, before they get a lot of proposals, they might say like, this is so far out of our budget, or there's they've never done this before. But once you start getting proposals from everyone else, at least similar styles in catering and levels of quality, you start seeing kind of where that average is. And so then maybe the first couple of proposals that you thought were astronomical, maybe they're not anymore. And you realize that more goes into this than typical. I would not go into it trying to compare it to like a restaurant catering. I would not call a catering company thinking that it's going to be like buying it at Costco, so you're going to get a deal on bulk. At least in the higher end caterers, go into it open minded, and a lot of people are super willing to work with you. And willing to work with you doesn't necessarily mean lowering the price without sacrificing something on the menu, because now you're asking the caterer to basically just give you something for free. Just be open and upfront about what you want to spend. And if you don't know what you want to spend, don't be afraid to ask for multiple proposals or other options, because just because we send you a proposal, there is thousands of other options that you can go over to try to get in your budget. And once you see it and you have an idea and you know what you want to spend and you know the value and what the caterer is bringing to you, you'll have a better idea on what it's costs. To give you some hard numbers, it would be really hard, but for us, our minimum order is $1,500. We used to have no minimum order, and as we were growing a little bit, we started realizing that if we don't have a minimum order, we're going to set ourselves up to not make money sometimes. And especially with now how the minimum wage has gone up quite a bit, my guys get paid pretty good. And so if I have two chefs on and let's say they make 20 an hour, that's 40 an hour. And if your job takes 5 hours of prep, it's 20 hours times 5. So that's $100 for just the prep. And that's no food. And then that's not actually working the party. That working the party is going to be another 4 hours plus a server. All in on that party without any food, we're looking at 300 plus bucks, $300 to $400 in just labor alone. And that's not the planning process. And when you're talking to the girls in the office and all of that. And then once you get in the food, depending on what you get, you could be in $1,000, you could be in 750 or whatever. we love what we do, but we also need to earn money. So at the end of it, it all comes down to value. Find a caterer that will give you the value of what you want. And maybe your value is different than other people's. Maybe you don't need filet and some, high end, lobster sauce, or you don't need that. Maybe you do want just like a chill hangout barbecue Mexican night, top pasta night. These things can be accomplished. You just have to be upfront with your caterer, at the beginning. So let's see. Next, we got, do caterers provide linens and dishes? Yes, we do. I would assume that most caterers would. Maybe not linens, but they would at least be in contact with a rental company or something that they could facilitate this stuff for you, or at least put you in a position, or put you in contact with a person that will get you those things. For us, we provide both those things, so it's a non-issue. Can caterers accommodate dietary restrictions? Of course. So the beauty about this, other than being in a restaurant, like we talked about before, is customability. Now, depending on the situation, and this is one of those things, is find a caterer that's going to be upfront with you and not set themselves up for failure or overpromise you something that maybe might mess up the flow on day of. So we absolutely do vegetarian meals, vegan meals, kids meals, gluten-free meals. We try to accommodate that as best as we can. We personally have policies for different things. So a buffet is pretty easy to weed out the people that have those dietary restrictions. When you give us your final count, we just need to know how many. Not a big deal. No extra charges. We're not. It just is what it is. As far as plated meals go, plated meals get a little bit more tricky. So depending on the style of plated meal you got, whether it was and how many people. Small parties, no, not it's a non-issue. 100, 200 people plated. It's a smooth oiled machine, so every little thing can bog the machine down. So happy to do vegetarian, vegan, gluten-free options. We just ask we keep those options to a minimum. And in a lot of cases, we just come up with the options ourselves. So I would say 9 and 10 times that happens, they just need a vegetarian meal. They don't specify what they want, and we just let the chefs take care of it. And whether that's a pasta or stuffed pepper or like a vegetable Napoleon, or there's tons of things that they can do. The chefs get creative, but they'll absolutely make sure that your dietary restriction is taken care of. But knowing this stuff far in advance out obviously makes it a lot easier. So, how do I handle payment for catering services? So we touched on that a little bit before. Is the deposits 50% up front? I can't speak for other catering companies and what their policies are. Our policy is 50% up front. We work with you the whole time. Nobody books over you. And then 2 weeks out, when you're giving us your final timeline, your final count, if there's any dietary restriction or kids or anything like that, that's your last chance to kind of make any sort of adjustments to it. At that time is when we also get payment. Now, we just started that this season. And the only reason I wanted to start that was just to eliminate some on-site friction, if they're and not friction in a bad way, but just like anytime there's something that's out of the ordinary or messes the flow is friction in my eyes. So I don't like having money exchange on site, and it's just easier on my staff and myself to keep track of things, and we don't have to hunt down brides and people while you're in the middle of your good night and say, hey, we need money. It's just ready to go, and we can come in, do our job, check out with you, make sure you're all good, and we can go. So if you wanted to do a tip, that would be a perfect time on site. You can absolutely give tips. We'll get in that in a second. I believe I saw it on here, but yeah, we have everybody book and pay 2 weeks from their event, and it just keeps things a lot more smoother on day of. It's just one less thing to have to worry about. Gratuity. So a lot of caterers or event planners or just event vendors in general, they'll have gratuity and service charge. Now, service charge for us, that's not gratuity. Gratuity is based on my customer's discretion. So, the staff gets paid well. Everybody loves to get tipped, so don't be afraid to tip your staff. They're there cleaning up after you. They're working hard, and they're taking care of you, and they're catering for you. So it is customary to tip them. Is it mandatory? No, but it's at the discretion of my customers. So you absolutely can. You can put a gratuity on the bill, or you can cash them out. And typically we have a lead and a chef on every party, so you'd want to do that with whoever's in charge on site. So we have a lead that's designated to be the contact to the contact person on site, and they're the ones that relay the message to all the rest of the staff, so that we don't have customers trying to tell all the staff what to do. They just tell the lead, and then the lead relays that to the rest of the staff. So that's the person you would want to leave a gratuity with, and then they can disperse it however they see fit. For us, everybody gets the same. It's all pooled. Everybody helps out. Everybody has to load and unload the truck. Everybody has to clean and pass hors d'oeuvres. So on site, everything gets pooled together, and everybody gets split evenly. It's the most fair way for us to do it, and everybody seems to be happy. Will the caterer provide staff for the service? Yes, we already went through that. What equipment might you need to rent? For us, you shouldn't really have to rent anything. There are certain special occasions where if there's no oven on site, and maybe if we have another couple events, you might need to rent an oven, and that could be costly. It could be between $300 and $500. For us, we have two setups that have that stuff already. If we're in your house, you have an oven and that on site. So, we wouldn't really need you to rent anything other than if you wanted special tables or chairs or, special colored linens, that kind of stuff, a prop. There's lots of prop vendors out there. Those are things that you would rent. But as far as catering goes, we're pretty self-sufficient ourselves, and we really don't need you guys to rent anything outside of a special occasion for a larger event. What is a tasting session? So this is a good question. For a lot of smaller events or house parties, there's not a ton. We don't do a lot of tastings for those. Tastings are pretty much reserved for weddings. Is entitled to a tasting. We charge $95 a person. And why we charge $95 a person is that it's not just we're giving you like little pieces or bites of your menu. Whatever menu you choose, we're going to have a chef prepare it, and you're going to come in, you're going to sit down, you're going to have the full experience, and we're going to take you through your entire menu, hors d'oeuvres, salads, entrees, everything. And you're going to get everything that's on your proposal, and you're going to get full portions of all those things. I always tell people, when you're doing it back to back like that, it's not going to be, you might get a little full, because typically at a wedding or a big event, you have a full hour of cocktail hour and then dinner. But when you're doing it in the tasting, it's kind of, bang, bang, boom. It's going to be like hors d'oeuvres, salad, dinner. Don't be afraid to take a little doggy bag to go. It's totally fine. So $95 a person, but again, you get one-on-one time with the chef, and then at the very end, again, how we do it, I can't speak for other people. How we do it is after dinner's done, we'll clear the dishes, and then the chef or one of my office managers will come out, and we'll go through your BEO line by line. If you have any questions or you want to make any modifications, if there's anything you didn't like, if there's anything you want to change, that's the time to do it. So you get that one-on-one time to go through your event and just talk out all the logistics of everything, whether it's food related or not. So, and what if my guest count changes? Not a problem. We talked about that a little bit before. If your guest count changes, goes up or down, just let us know. You have till 2 weeks before. I know some other caterers might be 30 days, some might be 1 week. We used to be 5 days, but that just cuts it too close for ordering and stuff. So we're 2 weeks out for everything now. And that seemed to help a lot of hiccups and stuff with our system. So yeah, you just let us know. We'll adjust it. We'll send you the new invoice. Not a big deal. Will the caterer handle cleanup? Absolutely. I can't speak about other caterers. Our motto, and what I tell my staff, is no trace, and don't leave anything. Like, everything should be left better than it was before. So before I leave any event, I'm always like, leave no evidence. And why I say that is because people are hiring us versus doing it themselves, right? So if you're having a house party and you want to enjoy your party, you hire the caterer. You don't want to hire a caterer and then have a good time, and then the party's over and you just have messy shit everywhere. So So we'll take out the garbages, we'll wipe down all the, cooking equipment, we'll wipe down the counters. We do a final sweep. A lot of times the event's still going on when we're leaving, but we do a final sweep, get all the, the garbage we can out, and we leave it as cleaner than before we got there. And I hope that's what other caterers do. It just seals the deal for somebody to call you back next time when they have an event and they have a good time and they get good food and they get good service. And then, oh yeah, on top of that, their house is left immaculate, like nothing ever happened. It's that is in itself should be a huge reason why people would want to hire a caterer versus doing it themselves. How should I communicate my vision to the caterer? That's kind of a tough one. So I always try to keep it simple with, I don't want to get my email flooded with Pinterest ideas, because those ideas are good in theory, but when calculated for 100 or 200 people, not so much. Absolutely share your ideas. If you have pictures, share them in the initial emails. If there are things that our chefs can take care of, or I can take care of, or we can rent to make that vision come to life, should be no problem at all. If there's something we can't do, but we know other vendors can do, we absolutely point you in that direction. Especially when it comes to, big rentals or stages, or, we handle everything, but there's just certain things that we can't take part in, and it's liability wise and everything. You want to hire a professional in that thing. So I would just say, give us your idea up front. If you have color themes, if you're doing a theme in general, if you're celebrating a certain holiday or anniversary, let us know all of that stuff ahead of time, because we'll put notes in the bottom, and we'll say it's so and so's 70th birthday, or it's a housewarming party, or it's a Hawaiian pig roast or something. We'll theme it out for you to make sure that everything is locked and loaded. I know we've done a couple black and white parties where they even wanted the food black and white, and as challenging as that was, we did do it. So there are crazy ideas out there, and there are things that intrigue us that we want to take care of. We just need to know, get proper notice and get ahead of time. If you're trying to book a party 2 weeks out and it has all this special stuff on it that we can't get a hold of, there's nothing really we or anybody else could do to achieve that. So be realistic too. I see florists go through this quite a bit, where they get this picture and it's like this big extravagant thing, and then they want to tell the client, like, that's 100,000 in flowers. I just want to let you know. So just be realistic and stuff. And again, get multiple quotes. It's absolutely okay to get other quotes. We want to do the best job we can for you. We understand that not everybody's our customer. As much as we'd love everybody to be our customer, there's tons of business out there, and we want you to feel special with us and not reluctant. So absolutely get multiple quotes out there. If they're close and you're going for just price and just cheap, there's a lot of caterers that just aren't your caterer, and that's okay. If you're going for just price, and maybe be upfront with that at the beginning. And if you really like a caterer and you got 5 proposals and one of them is much cheaper, and you can make a good comparison, don't be afraid to tell that to your caterer too, because maybe you want to work with a certain caterer, but they're out of your budget, and then you got a budget that worked, but you weren't super crazy about the caterer. So for our policy, if you want us to be similar, you need to show us their proposal to make sure that it's just not hearsay, and we'll do what we can, but we'll never compromise quality to try to meet the budget. That's our personal credo, but that's just how we do businesses. So, all right. And the last question is, can caterers provide beverages? We talked about this before. So we have full liquor license. We offer bartending services, custom bars. If we don't own the bar, we'll rent you that bar, or tell you who to rent it from, because some people have certain images in their head. I know a lot of barn weddings like the big barrel bars, and corporate events like a nice clean white bar, or a nice clean black bar. We have a few in stock. We have mobile espresso bar because we own a coffee shop too. We do lots of stuff like that. So beverages absolutely can be provided. We can do a la carte beverages or packaged beverages, basically whatever you need. We our policy too, and a lot of people may not agree with it, but I know a lot of people that do, is we don't pour shots. So what we tell people, if they want shots, buy your own booze, pour your own shots, and call it a day. We're still happy to do the bar for you, but my staff's not going to be pouring those shots for hundreds of people. It's just our policy. And there's actually a lot of venues around here that do the same thing. So all right, so we got through all those house catering and some other catering questions. If you guys have any other questions that you'd like to know, post them in the comments, leave me a message, follow us up on Instagram, Facebook, wherever you can find us. This is brand new. I'm still getting used to this, still getting my nerves out. And, I hope that I make a habit of it, and I hope that I help you guys and answer some questions. And feel free to leave me more questions. This is all a learning thing for both of us. So thank you guys. Have a great day, and I hope you learned something today.